Well, hello everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. I hope you're having a great day wherever you guys are. My name is Carrie Wilson, and I'm the marketing manager here at Kindful. We are super excited to be hosting Ian Loth of Winspire, who's going to be talking to us about how to make the most out of travel packages at your benefit auctions. Thanks so much for being here, Ian.
Thanks a lot, Carrie. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thanks. Before we get started, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about Ian and why we're so excited to have him here. Um, Ian has extensive background in event fundraising, marketing, and content development, and his role at Winspire is to develop external communications, brand expansion, and product delivery processes to help nonprofits maximize their fundraising revenue. He also serves as the editor-in-chief for Winspire News, creating and managing blog content, webinars, newsletters, ebooks, and other resources for nonprofit fundraising professionals. And so for those of you who aren't familiar with Kindful, Kindful is a Nashville-based software company that provides fundraising tools and a donor database for nonprofits. We've processed over $35 million in yearly in donations, and we proudly power over 1,000 nonprofits worldwide. For more information, you can check us out at kindful.com. And before I pass it off to Ian, I am going to go over some quick housekeeping items. We are recording this webinar, so don't worry if you miss anything or have to jump off for a meeting. We'll send you an email with the recording either later this afternoon or tomorrow morning. If you have any questions throughout the session, just type your questions into the question box on the right-hand side of your screen, and we'll make sure we answer them at the end of the presentation. Also, just wanted to note that if any of you were at our previous webinar that we co-hosted with Winspire, engaging donors to be lifetime advocates, we talked about how you can turn these donors that you get at auctions into lifetime givers, and today we're going to talk about how you can attract these people to your events and get them to give in the first place. So if you want the part 2 of this webinar, head over to Winspire's website and you can download it for free and check out all their other awesome webinars. So now I'm going to pass it off to Ian, and Ian, you can take it away.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Carrie. Just a brief little overview of what Winspire is for those of you who are unfamiliar. First of all, it's a pleasure being here today. Thank you all for joining us to learn a little bit more about using travel in your charity auction. What Winspire does, we create donor travel experiences. So we have a catalog of over 200 packages that nonprofits can use in their fundraising event risk-free, so they don't have to pay anything to use them. You can reserve them, promote them to your audience, sell as many times as you can each package, and then you keep all the proceeds above the nonprofit cost. So it's a risk-free way to really make some extra revenue from your live and silent auctions at your fundraising events. To date, we've supported over 41,000 events globally, mostly in North America. We have served over 80,000 satisfied winning bidders, so winners of our packages at charity auctions travel with us, and we've been doing it for many years now, and we've helped raise just shy of $48 million. It's our next milestone that we're very excited to be helping nonprofits with. We've been doing it since 2008, and we love doing it. Want to just extend an offer for those of you out there to just kind of stick around for the end of the webinar. We're going to provide a link. We have a great little download, 400 amazing auction item ideas for your next charity auction, great locally sourced ideas that you can use in your procurement efforts for your next event. I'm curious though, because I know we're dealing with Kindful users, which it's I know what Kindful's kind of donor management software. Is great, but I'm wondering how many of you out there are fundraising event professionals or people who are doing fundraising events. So I want to do this poll. How many of you or how many fundraising events with charity auctions do you host each year? Either none, we're thinking about it, 1 event, 2 events, 3 events, or 4 or more. So go ahead and answer now. We'll give you about 5 seconds. I think we have most of everyone in. Just a couple more. All right. Let me know how many events you've done each year. Carrie, we could probably close it now. All right, go ahead and share those results for me. Awesome. All right, so we've got a lot of people who throw probably one big giant event each year. That it's your blowout event, it's your main event, it's the one where you have your live auction, your silent auction, and your entire year is almost centered around organizing this event. I know how it is. I've been a part of them, and I know how stressful they can be. Glad to see we got maybe a couple people who are thinking about running events, and then we have the overachievers, people who either have bigger teams or are far more stressed than the rest of us, and those are the people doing 2 or 3 events per year. So I commend all of you out there. Very good. That kind of puts a good kind of frames the discussion here. I want to do one more poll. Just to ask you guys what your biggest challenge is when hosting an event. So if you can go to the next slide for me. All right, what is your biggest challenge when it comes to hosting a fundraising event? Go ahead and answer now. Procuring quality items? Is it building your guest list, promoting your event, or reaching that fundraising goal? I know these are all kind of big chunks of running a successful fundraising event. So go ahead and select one that is your biggest challenge here. I think we have most everyone in. Maybe get a couple more seconds here. Carrie, I'll let you close the poll and show the results. Okay, very interesting. This is great. Okay, cool. So now got a lot. It's kind of as expected. Got a lot of people who procuring charity auction items. That is a big part of running an event, often the most time-consuming and difficult. Promoting your event. Having good quality auction items and promoting your event can actually go hand in hand. So I can see why those are definitely the top 2. And then reaching your fundraising goal, obviously, that is the primary objective anyway. So it probably should be the biggest challenge. But we'll hopefully share some things here today that will help with all of these challenges that you guys are expressing. So let's go ahead and close that poll. Awesome. And I'm going to go to the next slide here. Oops. Sorry, a little technical. All right. Let's talk about today's agenda. We're going to talk about 3 reasons why travel sells so well at charity auctions, and then we're going to go into the strategies for using travel in a fundraising event. We're going to talk about how to acquire travel, how to promote it and use it to promote your event, and then also really how to maximize profit using the travel. And there's many different ways that we can do that. You're going to have to bear with me here. I'm trying to pack all this into 1 hour, but I encourage you guys to stay around for the full time. We're going to have a great Q&A at the end. If you guys have any questions, please let me know in that questions pane. So we're going to try to get through all these slides here. So before I begin, what is experience, or what is travel? No risk of travel. What does it mean in terms of a charity auction event, right? Today we're going to be talking about experiential travel, and that means complete package where you have airfare, lodging, and an experience, right? Something to do while you're there. You can sell each of these components individually in an auction, but they're never going to go for as much money or sell for as much and raise you as much money unless there's a high enough perceived value and all of these 3 components are together. So you're going to hear me talk about perceived value today a lot. And what that means is when you see an object, the value that you associate with it, regardless of what its retail value is, because remember, we're in a charity auction setting, retail value goes out the window because they're supporting a cause, right? So the perceived value is what really matters here today. And when you see something that is a complete package with airfare, lodging, and experience, you're going to pay a whole lot more money for it than you would for paying each of the objects individually, like just airfare tickets, just lodging, or just the experience. So having that high perceived value is crucial when we're talking about travel and incorporating it into an event. I want to give you guys just a couple examples from our catalog, the ones that are selling, our top sellers really, and just some other really cool ones. Napa Valley Backroads and Railways. Napa Valley is such a popular destination for these people who are going to these charity events. Wine is popular among them, and Napa Valley is the best place in the world to go do that. Masters Golf Tournament, any sports tournament are huge. Those are going to sell really well. It might be a little bit pricier, but especially the Masters, but you're going to get those top tier bidders, which we'll talk about. Hamilton, of course, it's a nationwide craze, worldwide craze. You're going to have no problem selling something like Hamilton at your event, and then something crazy like running the bulls. These are all bucket list items that we like to talk about in terms of travel experiences for your auction. Now, experiential travel. As we've shown, the reason we're in business and do what we do is because experiential travel is the #1 selling charity auction item in the world. It's the easiest one to sell at a charity auction event. Other items popular items are like wine, jewelry, automobiles, big ticket items, travel is the number one. And I'll tell you why. We're gonna go into it a little bit. But the main reason that you want to use travel is it's because it helps you stand out, right? Everything from your pre-promotional materials to your everyday excitement. And something big like travel is going to have a much bigger impact on folks than those gift baskets, right? And a great question I like to ask is, would you rather take a donor out to lunch the following week that bid $20 on a gift basket or $5,000 on a travel package? And you can bet you're going to chase the money. If you're going for those donations, you want to go talk to that donor who's spending that $5,000 on a travel package. And so really, these travel experiences really help identify who those people are. Donors are also sophisticated. We're going to get into audience tiers and how to break up the audience, but the people who are coming to these events are the top 1%. They're the top 5% of society. They are sophisticated. They know what they want. So when you're procuring auction items, the reason it can be so difficult is it's hard to get items that are going to actually cater to these people who, have very sophisticated tastes, and they know, when they go out and they're shopping, they know when they see something that they actually want, and then when they do, they're going to pay top dollar for it, right? So think about who you're targeting with these travel experiences, and we'll get into a little bit with tiers, but it's going to be that top tier, sophisticated buyers who are in your audience. So let's go into why travel sells. I'm going to take a drink of water here real quick. All right, pardon me there. 3 reasons travel sells. Number 1, it's unique. Number 2, it's popular. And 3, there are existing travel budgets, which is a fascinating thing that I'm excited to share with you guys. But first of all, it's unique, right? There are unlimited destinations around the globe that you can send your donors to. So you're never short on ideas for what you can put in your auction. There's endless cities, there's endless cool hotels, and really cool experiences that you can put together and really get your donors excited enough to really spend that money at your event. We also know that donors attend a lot of events per year, right? So we know this because we actually survey them. So of those 80,000, winning bidders, we survey every single one of them. First and foremost, to make sure they have a great experience. But second, we want to find out a little bit about their spending habits and their travel habits and their donor habits, right? And we found that most of them, 76%, that's a huge majority, attend at least 3 events per year, right? So that's 3 different nonprofits that they're going to. And that's a lot of competition for you to make sure that your offerings are unique. Not everyone's getting the same restaurant in town or the same things, because if those top echelon of buyers are going to those same events, they're going to get tired of seeing the same thing. So you want to have unique travel items that you can put in your auction. Number 2, travel is popular. Everybody loves travel. I know I like travel. I assume most of you like travel. I don't think I had to put a poll question here to ask everyone if they like travel. I mean, who doesn't love a vacation, right? Especially these days, you'll hear a lot about it in the news. People are spending more money on experiences than things, and so that's great news for you guys, because you can really cater your offering at your fundraising events to giving your donors these experiences that they're seeking that they didn't even know they wanted, right? And then really letting them use that to support your cause, which is it's a really cool thing. So that survey that I mentioned before, we ask them how often they go to fundraising events. We also ask how often they travel, and this is pretty crazy. If you think about the audience that we're talking to, they're wealthier, which we'll talk about travel budgets here in a second, but they also travel a lot. So 2/3 of charity event patrons take at least 3 trips per year. Half of them take at least 4 trips per year, and 17%, that's almost 1/5 of them, that's still a sizable percentage, take 6 or more big trips per year. Now, I wish I was part of the statistic. I cannot say that I do that, but that doesn't mean to say that these weekend warriors are going out and doing these things. So the fact is they're traveling a lot, so why not make your event a destination where they can come purchase some of that travel and have a great time, have a great experience. Also, people share experiences. We have social media in our lives these days. Everybody's on it, right? And people are sharing it. And so when you offer a travel experience to your patrons and they purchase it, it gives them an opportunity to tag your nonprofit in their post throughout their vacation. Like, look, I went on this incredible trip to Hawaii, and thanks so much, Sisters of Orange County, for example, or whatever. Whatever your cause may be, you can create a hashtag around the trip and really track them through it, so that we have these hashtags right here, bucket list travel, experience charity. You have your hashtag, and you can encourage them when they go on their trip to really share their experience. Travel budgets. Okay, this is a big one. This is something that this is purely based on data, right? So we're really, we think it's really important to find out about the people that you guys are offering your experiences to, so we want to survey them. We found that their spending habits and the spending habits of our country as a whole have really shifted towards travel and experiences in general. So the fact is, people have money that they set aside for travel, especially the people that you're marketing to in your events. 58% of Americans, according to American Express, save money specifically for travel. But we know that in a charitable setting where the audience is a little bit more affluent, it's going to be much higher than that. They're going to have money that they're going to be using on travel one way or another. Last year, over 600 billion, right? That's 600 billion with a B. That is a big number. And this is actually really what we're trying to do at Winspire is kind of divert some of that $600 billion towards your guys' cause and help you use that travel budget to raise money and get to your bottom line. Okay, so these winning bidders, a couple other really cool statistics. 83% have a budget of over $5,000 per year, right? $5,000 each year, that could be going towards your cause. More than half, 53, have $10,000 each year. Again, another statistic I wish I was a part of, but I cannot say that I have $10,000 a year to spend on travel. But this is huge, right? This means that they have money that they can be spending on travel. Why not also support your cause? For those of you who are new to events, or maybe don't throw it, or maybe you are familiar with events, it's a common misconception that donors don't have a ton to give, and it's more important about how you ask for it, how the event goes down, the items that you have in your auction, and there is always, always, always money left on the table, especially when you have those second and third place bidders who were trying to bid $2,000 or $3,000 on an item and then didn't win, and then they walk out the door. Where'd that money go? It doesn't always come up in the appeal as much as you'd like to think. We would not have to have auctions and silent auctions and all these fun games if people just came in and raised their hands during the special appeal or the fund a need or the paddle raise, whatever you want to call it, and just gave money. But it doesn't work that way. People need to be incentivized to do it, and there's a ton of money in the room, and so that's why we're bringing out these auction items and travel and talking about travel here today, is because we're trying to incentivize people to give more, because they have it. Okay. Where should you get travel for your fundraiser? Obviously, I'm biased. We here offer travel at Winspire, but that doesn't mean that we don't want you to go out and try to procure it yourself. Travel, it's something that you should be going out and getting your local community, local, restaurants, getting dinners for 10, local sports teams. That, to me, that's experiential, right? You still want to go out and get these experiences on your own. We do not want your entire offering to be consignment travel or no-risk travel items. It should only be a percentage of it, right? Most of your items in your live auction, your silent auction, should all be donated, right? You still need to put some legwork into getting your procurement team out there and asking around, because that's a crucial part of raising a lot of money. So that's why we have these offerings. That's why we do at Winspire News. We've come out with 2 posts a week all about how to raise more money using not only just your live and silent auction, but the events in general. We want you to go procure items. We have this ebook that's a great resource for you to download, and also our starter kit. So this has a donation letter and a donation form, the templates that you can use very easily to go out and start procuring items in your community. So check it out, winspireme.com/resources. Tons of other really cool stuff in there. Okay, done talking about why travel is so awesome. Now we're going to talk about how to use it. Okay. 3 key strategies, and they come down to acquisition, the promotion, and the profit. Okay, so let's start a little bit about acquisition. First, what travel should you get? Okay, whether you're getting it donated or whether you're getting it from a consignment or no-risk travel company like Winspire, you really got to know your audience, right? This is the most important part. The first step you should take before you even go out and start asking for items is figure out what they want, right? You want to talk to your biggest and best donors in advance. It's not that many people. If you think about the people who are going to be in your audience, I keep referencing tiers. We're going to talk about the audience tiers in a second, but it's only about 10% of your audience, right, that are going to be active in your live auction. There's only going to be, if you have, let's say, 400 people coming, there's only going to be 10%, about 40 couples that are actually going to be really engaged in the live auction. That's for a huge event like 400 people, and that means only 40 couples that you need to follow up with and start talking to and figure out where they want to go and what they want to do. Take them out to lunch, right? These are your VIP donors. They're the people that you should be connecting with quarterly, right? Ask them what would you be interested in purchasing in our next event or bidding on at our next event. Where do you want to go? What's on your bucket list? You can also survey folks. Send out a survey using SurveyMonkey. Is a great free surface that you can use to just ask your audience, what are you interested in bidding on? The key here is to find some interests that you can start catering to, and then offering those items so that people actually get into bidding wars and spending more money at your event, which is the whole point. Now, we talk about acquiring your own auction items, which I still want you to do. It's a really important part of doing it, but it's important to limit your risk. And so there's a reason that you don't go out and just start purchasing hotel room nights or plane tickets or things like that in order to offer them at your auction. You have to get them donated. And when you do, just beware, right? When you get and you start combining things like airfare points and tickets to a sports game or a certain experience and hotel room nights, it's very difficult to make sure that those three components come together and fit nicely. And it can be a nightmare for you, the event planner, after the event, after they've been purchased, even like 6 months, 8 months down the road when they go to redeem it, all of a sudden you're playing travel agent and you're not planning for your next event, which is not good, right? Remember, these are sophisticated buyers. Once they buy these things, they really expect a good white glove experience, especially if they're paying in the thousands of dollars. They should be getting good service for what they've bought. So that's why, especially when we start talking about these big travel experiences that people are going to spend money on in the live auction, we recommend, right, going more towards a consignment company like Winspire. And I'm going to share an example. And again, this is why we're in the business of what we do, is because we want to make it easy for you to offer incredible travel, make money on it, and then not have to worry about fulfilling it after the event is over. So a classic example that we see all the time, it's a familiar scenario. You have your board member, they have their vacation condo, and it's been selling year after year. Maybe you made some good money on it, and there's now you have several winning bidders who have go to expect to redeem it and use this house. Time and time again, it doesn't have to be selling, it could just be under renovation. All of a sudden, that vacation condo is no longer available. What happens to all those winning bidders that won the place and have to redeem it, right? Now you have a sticky issue on your hand. And this is so common, and it's not just with vacation condos, it's with anything that comes with donations, right? And in many cases, it's unavoidable, right? Especially if people are donating things, they got kind of their heart, and then and things come up. But this is also why it's important to leverage no-risk travel to really round out that auction offering, a live and silent auction. We call it no-risk travel. You'll hear other names for it, consignment travel. It's what we offer, which means you can come and reserve it for your event, for your live auction, silent auction. You don't pay anything. You can promote it. We give you promotional materials. Then you offer it at your event. You make money on it. Anything you make over the cost of the package, you keep. And then you're done. You tell us who won. We take care of the winning bidder, have a full-service travel agency, and then they can travel whenever they want. It's a great tool for raising more money in your auction using travel, which is such a good selling auction item. So you guys are probably familiar with this in terms of where travel can be used in an auction. Maybe a couple of things in here maybe you haven't thought of before. But travel, especially big experience travel things, are best suited for the live auction. That's where you have an auctioneer, someone who can get up on stage and explain it, really paint that picture, and get people excited about it, and you have that live bidding that happens. And that's really why the live auction ends up raising so much more, is because it's in that live atmosphere. People are excited, people are showing off a little bit, they're raising their hand, who can win, type of deal. So that's where experiential travel performs the best, especially if we have a few people who are interested in it and are going to compete over it. Then there's the silent auction. I'll talk about the super silent in a second. Silent auction is also great for travel. Definitely lower price point, right? Because you have people just doing on their bid sheets. Smaller packages, maybe those individual components. If you have airline tickets or miles, or maybe an experience or hotel rooms, silent auction is great for that. Raffle. Raffle is a great way to use travel. I'll talk about a winner's choice raffle here in a second. Online auction. also sort of like silent auction, but you're not actually at the event. Super silent auction, just real quick, you can Google this term. There's a whole article that we wrote about it right at the top, but super silent auction is basically like a live auction. It's like a silent auction that's set aside from the rest, roped off, has like lights on it. It's like, hey, here's like the biggest and best silent auction items that that you should come check out. So you know, have a little bit more fanfare. The auctioneer, whoever's emceeing, talks about the super silent auction a little bit more, and you know, it's put up in front where people can see it, so people can see other people bidding on it. It kind of gets a little bit of that live auction competition going, and can raise more money than just your typical silent auction tables that might be out in the foyer or separate from the main ballroom. So let's go back a little bit, take a step back to acquiring these packages, whether you're acquiring travel, putting them together yourself, or you know, selecting travel experiences from our catalog, right? You want to make sure that you are targeting each audience segment. And this is the tiers part. This is what I was talking about with the audience tiers. I should probably put this sooner in the presentation, I'm now thinking. But this is typically a typical breakdown of your audience, right? In terms of how much they're going to spend, how much they're going to participate. You have your top tier spenders. That's that 10%. Top 10%. Those are going to be the people that are active in your live auction, right? They're the people who can be actively bidding for the packages that are over, you know, several $1,000s. Then you have your middle tier spenders. They're going to be people who are active in your silent auction, right? Going around competing for those items. Maybe they'll raise a hand or two in the live auction, but they mostly stick there to the silent auction. Then you have the 60%. This is most of your audience, are minimum participants. They might dabble, maybe bid on an item here or there, maybe give $25 in the heads or tails, or buy a raffle ticket. But for the most part, they're not really going to be participating or spending all that much money. They're typically guests. And so that's the majority of your audience. So with your auction items, your travel experiences in particular, you want to be focused on this top tier, the top and middle tiers. And again, they're really not that big. I actually think I had my math wrong the first time. So let's say that top tier 10%, you have a 400-person guest list, right? A huge event coming up. 10% of that's only 40 people, right? And then if you think in terms of buying units, that's only 20 couples, right? You want to think in terms of buying units, not individual folks, especially when you get into these big packages, because it's a joint decision, right? It's a husband and wife typically are making this decision on whether to purchase a package. So you're only talking about 20 couples that's in your top tier of spenders. And that's for a huge event. If you're in a smaller event that's 200 people, that's 10 couples. 100 people, that's 5 couples. You should be talking to every single one of those couples, figuring out where they want to go, what they're interested in, because that way you can start to pick experiences that multiple of those top tier couples are interested in, and start creating that bidding war, creating that tension on the live auction floor that's going to yield you more dividends, right? So I talked about the sweet spot, right? There's also your middle tier, the silent auction. That's where your middle spenders are. And again, it's just important when you're selecting those silent auction items. Maybe there's too many people to go ask, but that's where you can send surveys out and really figure out what people are interested in. You know your demographics, right? You know your community, the people who are there, what they might be interested in. But just really keep that kind of middle tier of spenders in mind when you're procuring those items. So I'm just going to show a quick flash of few of our really cool big ticket items that have sold really well. Super Bowl obviously is huge. Hamilton I shared in the beginning. Tuscany is another really good one. These are those ones that are going to be complete packages with airfare, long distance travel, and people are going to spend more money on. I know the Rome Vatican one. I forget exactly how much it retails, but it was sold for over $10,000 3 or 4 times in an event. And raise the nonprofit well over 10 grand. So there's ways that these big packages can raise a lot of money, and you'll be surprised. I know some of you are going to stick in there, oh man, we don't have the audience that can spend this kind of cash. Well, that's not true. There are people out there that have this kind of money. You'll be surprised, but it also is important to tailor the experience that you offer to the income levels of your demographic. But don't underestimate them. That's what we see time and time again. But again, these are complete packages, perfect for the silent or the live auction as our signature ones. And want to think about that price point. And our top sellers, we also offer a list of top sellers if you're interested. I'll provide a link at the very end that you can go find that. We also have coming soon luxury properties. So this is for that middle 30% silent auction tables. These are just hotel stays from Preferred. which is a partner of ours, and we're going to be offering some really cool no-risk packages that are a much lower price point starting in November that you can start using in your silent auction tables. These have already proven to sell really well, and we're really excited to release them coming soon. So stay tuned on that. Real quick on this, because I want to make sure we get through this. A winner's choice fundraising raffle is another great way to use travel. I mentioned it in that list previously. Essentially what you're talking about is 3 to 4 travel options as the grand prize. What you can do is you go to our website, select 3 or 4 packages that are around the same price point. Let's say it's $3,000. You reserve all 4 of them, let's just say, and then you start selling raffle tickets, right? You sell them for $100 a piece, you sell them $50 a piece. It's really easy to calculate how many tickets you need to sell based on the price point in order to not only cover the package but start raising a bunch of money. So yeah, if you end up selling, man, I wish I really had the math in front of me, but if let's say you have $100 tickets and you sell 50 of them, that's $5,000. If you have a $3,000 package that are as part of your grand prize, let's say it's and you want to do a wide range, right? Let's say it's like, Women's Escape in New York, Saks Fifth Avenue. You have, race NASCAR for a day, and then you have Napa Valley, and then, one other one. And they're all about $3,000. You sell 50 $100 tickets, you just netted $2,000 because those $3,000 package out of the $5,000 is $2,000. We have, nonprofits who raise much more than that. If you Google fundraising raffle, you can see there's an article out there that nonprofits have raised well over $10,000 using this fundraising raffle technique. It's a great way to do it, especially in peer-to-peer fundraising. So check it out. Again, just Google fundraising raffle. All the information you need is right there. Moving right along, we're going to talk real quick just about becoming an educated buyer on acquisition. Like I said, we're not the only consignment travel company out there, no-risk travel company. If you decide to work with us, we'd love to have you, but if you don't and you go with another one, make sure you become an educated buyer. Make sure you read the fine print, know exactly what's going to happen once that package is purchased, who's going to be booking it, how they're going to be taken care of, because the most important part is that the winning bidders and making sure that they have a great time and come back just speaking praise and want to buy travel from your event year after year. Because if that doesn't happen, then you go into a downward spiral, right? You want to make sure that they're stoked and excited about purchasing travel. So become an educated buyer, know the experience through and through, ask a lot of questions, and make sure you go with a reputable source. Winspire is one of them. Okay, promotion. I know a few of you folks out there answer promotion as kind of one of the challenges, which is great because travel or really cool auction items can really come in handy when it comes to promoting an event. So you want to do some pre-event advertising. And in terms of promotion in general, we'll talk about Facebook here in a second and sending out email campaigns. But you really want to condition your bidders to be prepared for big travel experiences when they get to the auction, right? You can imagine the conversation is a little bit different if a few weeks before Mr. and Mrs. Smith see a Facebook post or an email or some communication about a trip to Napa Valley. And they see it and they say, well, John, his name's John, I guess, honey, I've always wanted to go to Napa Valley. Well, so have I. Maybe we should think about bidding on this. And then they're talking about it. They're already engaged about it. That way they're prepared by the time they walk through the door to actually bid on this experience, as opposed to sitting at the table, not at the event. The item comes up on the screen. It's the first time they've seen it, and then they're having a very hurried, rushed, whispering conversation. The husband's or the wife is punching the husband in the shoulder, like, "Come on, honey, I want to get it," that sort of thing, which I've seen many times. And so that's a different conversation, and they might be kind of too shocked to actually raise the hand and spend the kind of money. So you want to condition your bidders, make sure that they see the items before they get to the event, and you can do that through sneak peeks, right? Like I mentioned, social media. You want to set up a Facebook event page, which is crucial. Every single event you have, you want to set up a big Facebook event page, invite everyone you know, and get them on there, even if they're not planning to attend the event. Invite them so they can still kind of start receiving some of the updates. Email newsletters, also crucial. We'll talk about those here in a second. And then lastly, pre-sale selling. So this has more to do with that top tier, that 10% of spenders. You want to pre-sell. You want to get commitments from some of them that, hey, yes, I will bid on this package. And that's why it's so important to tailor the packages to the bidders, but get some commitments that you'll at least get 1 or 2 bids so that it actually gets started and going. That's going to be what really gets the items, you know, at least their first few bids to really start the competition there. So, and then it also helps with package selection. If you're going out asking of your top tier spenders, hey, will you bid on this at least a couple times, then you're catering the offerings to their needs, and they'll inevitably, you know, after a few cocktails, probably end up bidding a little bit more. So pre-selling, another crucial part. All right, I talked about Facebook. Here's the Facebook event page. You really want to, it's free. For those of you who don't know, Facebook is free, and so is creating an event page, and it is a fabulous place to go post information about the event as you're planning it. You got a new band, post about it, right? You got a really cool new auction item, post about it. You've selected the venue, this is where you want to let them know. This is a great place to really interact with your audience and start kind of getting them keyed in, promoting the event, and you can even start spending a little money, if it makes sense, promoting the event page to your donors on Facebook. It's not that difficult. We could do a whole webinar on how to do that. But this is a great example from Young Actors Theater. This was in May. They posted about Hamilton, all about the package, and you can see down at the bottom 52 reactions. That's 52 folks from the attendee list that are, you know, liking, commenting, the whole bit. So this is the sort of post that you should do about your experiences or your auction items in general to get people excited. Email campaigns. We have a whole ebook on this because this slide is too small for all the information that we're talking about here. There's the link, winspire.re/emailbook. Check it out. It's a free resource you can download, all about creating email promotions for your event. But this is an example of a sneak peek. You want, you know, every single email that you're sending out to folks to encourage them to buy tickets, you should also have maybe a couple items in there to show them, hey, here's the sort of things you can come bid on at the event. Make sure you're connecting it back to your cause. Hey, remember, you know, we're supporting children here, and sending out those email campaigns. You can use things like MailChimp, Constant Contact, Emma are kind of 3 really good ones. They're either free or they have discounts for nonprofits. But you should not be BCCing your entire address book. That is a no-no. I know if you guys are using Kindful out there, then you probably already know this, but I still see it to this day, and it drives me up the wall. So no BCCing. And check and download that ebook. All right. Finally, we get into maximizing profits. How do we actually make money on these experiences? Some of you may be wondering, wow, man, some of these prices are a little high for these, you know, big packages. You know, we're talking about thousands of dollars in terms of the actual nonprofit cost. We're actually have to be purchasing these packages. Remember, you only purchase the packages after the event, and you only purchase the ones that actually raise money for you. Any ones that don't sell for above nonprofit cost, you don't have to worry about it. You don't buy them. So in terms of how do you actually raise money, you want to start setting the minimum bid already above the nonprofit cost. So if there's one bid on that package, you're guaranteed a return. And we usually recommend as a rule of thumb to go with 20% above the minimum bid. So if you're talking about a $3,000 package, the minimum bid is $3,600. That way, if you get one bid and only one bid, then you're going to make $600 on that package. That's a great return, right? So starting bid 20%, and then it goes up from there. Especially if you get a couple people to commit to bidding, the bidding usually goes up very quickly, right? If $3,600 package, the auctioneer knows what they're doing, you can get to $4,000 in a heartbeat. And so starting at 20% above is the best place to do it. Maximize the profit. So selling items multiple times or to multiple bidders. This is huge, and this is one of the most important things to understand about using consignment travel. Is you can sell each package as many times as you want. That turns it into a huge money-making opportunity for you to make more money in a shorter amount of time, and I'll explain how it works. So because you can sell packages as many times as you want, it actually makes more sense to sell it to multiple bidders at a lower price than it does to sell to one higher bidder at a high price. A great example is that $3,000 package I keep talking about. If you sell it to one high bidder for $6,000, you're going to net $3,000. Great return, okay? I'd be stoked about that. Now, believe it or not, if you sell that same package to too many bidders, and you know when you've got two bidders going at it, there's usually 2 or 3 or even 4 in the room where people who are bidding after a package. It's actually better to stop the bidding when you still have 2 bidders in there at $5,500 and sell it just there to 2 people. Look at your return. It went from $3,000 to $5,000. That's a much bigger return. And in reality, you're actually gonna have 2 even happier winning bidders because both of them paid less, right? So they've gotten more value out of the money that they spent, and you end up returning or netting more money. Now watch this. What happens if you go for even less at $5,000 and you have 3 winners? So you see 3 people are there. You stop the bidding at $5,000. Now you've sold the package 3 times at $2,000 each. You've actually doubled your revenue than you did by selling to one high bidder at $6,000. Now you have 3 happier winners who paid less for their package, and you've raised twice as much money. So selling multiples is probably the best way to actually go about selling or raising as much money as possible using consignment no risk. Lastly, securing underwriters. This is another really hot tip for you out there who are organizing the event. Let's say you have a no consignment policy, which we run into a lot. You know, basically no consignment packages. You can actually go out and you're securing sponsors for other things anyway, right? You're getting the floral arrangement sponsor. You're getting the cooking, the food, the table linens, the band. You can also go get travel packages, travel experiences sponsored or underwritten by sponsors as well. And it's actually a great way to recognize sponsors. It's a lot better than some of the other options because these experiences are being offered in the live auction. So that auctioneer can actually stop and say, hey, you know, this next item, I just want to say thank you, was donated by, you know, we'll say Mr. and Mrs. Smith again. Down here in the front row, off to the right, people give them a clap, and then they actually see their investment, the package they underwrote, go and actually raise more money because now 100% of the proceeds go directly to the bottom line, and now their investment made an even bigger impact. So they feel good, the audience, you know, giving them recognition, and you end up raising more money. So securing underwriters for your travel experiences is another great way to leverage more and better items in your event. Okay, I think I did that in a record amount of time. Sorry if I went too fast, folks, but that is all about donor travel experiences. If you're interested in learning more about Winspire and what we offer, please get in touch with me or go to our website. You can just click the Get Started button, and you can create a suitcase and start actually viewing some of the packages on our website and reserving them for your event. If you have an event coming up, we'd love to hear about it. So go to our website, shoot me an email, and yeah, that's a wrap. I promised you guys a little gift. If you want to go to this URL right here, winspire.re/400-items. You can download a PDF with 400 amazing auction item ideas. Check it out, especially if you're in the middle of a procurement process. That's all I got today. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Ian.
Q&As, hopefully.
Yeah, that was great. I know that I personally learned a lot about this, so that was really great. Thanks so much for sharing that.
Cool. Anytime. Was there any questions? I don't know. I think I can look in here. It doesn't appear. If you guys have any questions, I'm here to. I'm happy to answer them. So feel free to shoot me an email. Did you have any questions, Carrie?
Yeah, I thought of some while you were chatting that might be helpful. So you mentioned that only a percentage of your auction items should be travel versus other donated items. Do you have, for maybe people who are just starting out with an event, do you have an ideal percentage of what that should be versus other donated items?
Sure. And I think a good question to ask before we talk about that is how many live auction items should you have, right? In general, and that really comes down to how many live auctions can your auctioneer. Hopefully you have an auctioneer. If you're thinking about doing an event, I highly recommend getting an auctioneer who will, a benefit auctioneer who will help you with this. But usually it's about 7 to 10 items that you can sell during an hour-long period, maybe a little more than that, maybe 12. But beyond that, people are going to start to get bored, start to get up from their seat. So you really want to keep the live auction to about an hour, 7 to 10 items. Of that, like I said, around half, right? So you have 7 items. I would say half is max. Definitely try 1 or 2 at least, right? Because it's like, hey, might as well give it a try. It's no risk. So putting at least 1 or 2 live or no risk auction items it'd be hard to argue against not doing it, I guess is my point. It's like, free money if people end up purchasing it, right? So at least 1 to 2, but no more than half or maybe about 60%. So you can get away with doing a little bit more, but you want to get a big bulk of your items donated as well. So the thing we don't want to see is all of your auction items being no risk travel packages, because you're gonna be disappointed with the return in that case.
Great. I think that makes
that's what we're all about. We want you guys to see a return. We want to help you guys raise more money from your live auction.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. You mentioned promotion, and so how far in advance should people promote their events?
It's a great question. So I guess as soon as you start selling tickets, well, I mean, yeah, as soon as you start putting out your first promotion about tickets, or saving the date is another great place. So you haven't even started selling tickets, but you want to send a save the date email. If you go to save the date fundraising events, another great article written by one of my constituents, Sumi, and she talks all about how far out you want to start to save the date. And I'd say maybe like I wish I had the exact number, but maybe 6 months. You can actually start introducing the idea of these cool travel packages at this auction, and use it to create promotional materials for your event. But yeah, anytime between the save the date and the event itself, you should be promoting auction items.
Great. That's really helpful. And so if people wanted to reserve these travel experiences, how would they do that?
Easy. Just go to our website, winspireme.com. I'll put it back up on the screen here. And if you go and just click on the Get Started pane, there's a button that says Get Started. You can start reserving experiences. You put it in something called a suitcase, and then there's a big reserve button. You can click right before your event. It'll give you all the display materials you need, PDFs that you can blow up posters, images that you can use in your PowerPoints, everything you'll need to actually promote it and then offer it in your event. And then after that, after the event is over, you go back to the website, tell us, fill in the winning bidder name, email, phone number. We send them the booking vouchers, and you're done. You can wash your hands of it, because we'll be the ones reaching out and actually booking their experience. We have a full travel agency in-house here that we use to take care of each one of your winning bidders, and we want to make sure they have a great time.
Great. That sounds pretty easy to do.
Cool.
So
Are you going to go reserve one for your next event, Carrie? No.
I'll do what I do. So we have one question here from Adele, and she's saying that they have an event that's a little different, where they have an organized art contest where most of the art is donated.
Cool.
And they said they're going to be about 50 to 70 paintings in the auctions. And she wants to know how many travel items should they have, and should they try and keep the package in the low value range?
Yes, so if it's just a silent auction, if you don't have a live auction, throwing out a few maybe, it doesn't, again, it's like, what do you have to lose, I guess is the kind of the theme here. It's like, it takes a second to reserve them. You print out the materials, you put it in front of a bid sheet. You can blow it up to a poster if you want, but you don't have to. You can just put it on a color 8.5 by 10 or 8.5 by 11, and put out 3 or 4. Again, but you want to make sure you're going out and seeing what people would be interested in. But those silent auctions, you want to have a little bit lower price point, but we do have some packages that are kind of in the $1,500 range that might be really good. All of our packages actually come with no airfare options that you can ask our fundraising specialists about. As soon as you create a suitcase, someone's going to get in touch with you and talk about your audience. So yeah, we can figure out maybe some local packages without the airfare component that would be good for your silent auction. Like I said, the hotels, preferred luxury properties that we're coming out with are going to be great. They're going to be perfectly suited for that, because especially if there's any hotels that are in your area, people can just grab a couple of room nights, and it would be good for an auction that sells paintings. You could even package them together a little bit and do some really cool package items with that. I'm sure you could.
Great.
I hope that answered your question. Was it Abby?
Adele, yep.
Yeah. Thanks for the question, Adele.
So we have a couple other questions. One says that Sally here has had some packages donated, but they do involve winners paying for services on the trip. How do you handle, do you have those do you handle those as well, or how would they handle those?
So services, I'm wondering if she means like so there's a variety, like there's certain packages that we have that handle all the transportation, right, between experience and hotel. Obviously, those are going to be more expensive. There's other ones that are a little bit more bare bones, right? They're just flight, hotel, and maybe a tour, right? Right, like our Nashville Unplugged, or behind the scenes, in Washington D.C. You have to get yourself to the tour and pay for your own food on the experience. But there are some packages where we offer dinner certificates. It all depends on the level of service. But as far as booking the package, we do all of that for you guys. We don't have a booking fee. The only other thing that we do charge for is air taxes, I guess, but those are a nominal fee. I think it's about maybe $100 whenever we book the actual airfare for folks.
Gotcha.
Does that answer the question?
Yeah, it looks like it. So you mentioned that it would be they might pay a per diem for the trips.
Oh, cool. That's a great idea, actually. We have some that just have like, $200 Amex cards, but no per diems. That's an interesting idea, though.
Do you guys only work with nonprofits?
No, we actually we have another side of the business. Winspire is very involved with working with corporations to do bucket list travel and corporate hospitality, and we work with Verizon and Discover and Under Armour to help them get to some of these events like the Super Bowl or the Masters or Kentucky Derby. So we love working with businesses as well, but our passion is with the nonprofits.
Great. All right, I think that is all of the questions. If anyone has any additional ones, feel free to email Ian or myself, and we would love to answer them. Thanks, Ian, so much for being with us today. This was great, and yeah, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you, Carrie. I really appreciate you giving me the platform to speak to some of your guys' users. And thank you all for attending here today. Yeah, I really hope we can help you with one of your future events.
Great. Thanks, everyone.